Are you okay?
I think I just broke up with EJ.
We've got breakups and emotions running high as we get closer to the season finale, so let's break down episodes 6 and 7 of High School Musical, the musical, the series, and find out just what happened. What's up, Wildcats? Lisa here, and I am finally back to talk about episodes 6 and 7 of High School Musical, the musical, the series. I'm still in the middle of moving and setting up my new room, so I'm behind on a lot of stuff. Plus, I also was just at D23 Expo, so that took a few days for me to recover from, but hey, better late than never, right? So we only have one more episode left this season because it's a shorter season, just 8 episodes, unfortunately. But episodes 6 and 7 really set up for what feels like it could be a really dramatic season finale. And these episodes were pretty emotional for those of you who invested in the Ricky, EJ, and Gina love triangle. Also, we got to see JoJo Siwa pop up as Madison and so much more. I will say, I have said from the beginning, when they announced Camp Rock was coming into this show, that I needed someone to sing Wouldn't Change a Thing. Well, we did get that in episode 7. It was not happening the way that I thought it would, though. That is such an emotional song, and they turned it into this upbeat, happy song. And I mean, the version did sound good, so I have to take it, but I kind of wish we got maybe even a trio song between the love triangle. I think they could have done that song really, really well. But either way, it was used for Jet and Maddox, and I think it worked. Alright, we got 2 episodes to talk about though, so let's go ahead and dive into episode 6 titled Color War. As always, time codes are down below if you want to skip ahead. So this episode revolves around the camp tradition of Color War, blue versus yellow. And the show again gets meta with Corbin comparing it to the Disney Channel games. And I really miss the Disney Channel games. I think they need to bring those back. Now Ricky is still trying to get the footage caught of him admitting his crush on Gina deleted before, the show comes out. But of course, that is not happening for him. As for Jet, he's trying to figure out how to make things up to Maddox and reveals to Ricky one of the big reasons for their fallout. When it comes to Jet tattling on Maddox's text with Madison, he did it because he was upset that his sister was getting to date and he wasn't, but he had no clue that Madison was actually a girl. So he wasn't even really aware of what he was doing and that he was actually outing Maddox. So I think we have to give him a little bit of forgiveness there, but I just wish he and Maddox could sit down and talk. Well, Ricky gives Jet the advice of putting himself into something that Maddox cares about to show that he cares about her. So that's going to be the Color War. Now, thanks to Jet's insane vocal skills during the It's On sing-off, he helps the yellow team claim the victory, which leads to a great moment between the siblings. But that's not all wrapped up with a bow. Maddox tells Ricky, as nice as that is, she's been hurt many times by Jet before, so she's not ready to let her guard down just yet. As for Courtney, she's still facing her anxiety. She's afraid of heights, and when it's her turn to participate in the climbing wall event, she backs out. Now, Val and the other campers try to encourage Courtney, chant her name, and they are definitely coming from a good place, but it seems like they really don't read the situation, that Courtney is very uncomfortable. So we see Courtney have almost basically a panic attack, but Miss Jenn, who has arrived at camp to help EJ, steps in to offer Courtney some great advice.
If I can just say, I think you will climb the wall when you're ready.
And that's really what Miss Jenn does this entire episode, sprinkles her Miss Jenn-isms for all the Wildcats who definitely need them. So basically, why is she there? Well, EJ called her for help, and now EJ, of course, keeps ducking out of the Color War to meet secretly with Miss Jenn in the barn to get tips, and that causes him to miss some important moments, like when Gina wins the basketball game for their blue team, which she only really did after revealing she's a dancer but not athletic, and then getting hit in the head by a basketball, causing her to have a dream song and dance with Corbin Blue, who basically teaches her that dancing and basketball may look different, but they're the same. Now, her winning shot, which is said to be from the 3-point line, even though it's definitely the, free throw line. I don't know if they have different rules in this basketball game. The spinny shot, though, reminds me of Alley Cat Strike, if you've ever seen that decom. Anyway, EJ's flakiness means that Ricky and Gina are having some fun together in this Color War. And you know what? EJ is beginning to notice.
Breaking news. Dewey Wood locks Simon of Simon Says in his basement.
Gina hasn't laughed at one of my jokes since Wednesday.
I think she's just bummed that you missed her basketball dance triumph thing.
But eventually EJ can't hide Miss Jenn anymore, and the Wildcats are so excited to see her, and Miss Jenn actually gives Ashlyn some good advice about being in the ensemble.
A musical is a beautiful body. The ensemble is its sturdy backbone.
And well, she just kind of re-energizes and refreshes these Wildcats and even gives Ricky an early birthday present from his dad. Now, towards the end of the night, Gina asks Ricky for help, and he leads EJ to the barn where Gina does a very cute promposal asking EJ to the camp prom. But he says that he can't do that because there's this rule that there's no dates allowed at camp prom to make sure that no feelings get hurt. But instead, he's like, let's just hang out and watch the fireworks, fireworks go off. Unfortunately, though, they don't go off, which is foreshadowing.
Any minute now.
While it seems like EJ and Gina's spark may be running out, someone else actually gets those fireworks. When Val gives Ashlyn a letter from Big Red, Ashlyn again tries to avoid Val and then overcompensates by saying she has a male boyfriend again. How Val ends up describing Ashlyn ends up leaving Ashlyn almost speechless, as she says that's the nicest thing anyone's ever said to her. And then after the color war, when Ashlyn's helping her clean up, Ashlyn apologizes to Val for snapping at her, and basically is like, I'm not sure why I'm doing this and all this, and Val gives Ashlyn a hug, and well, it all seems to become clear to her.
Oh.
Ashlyn got those fireworks, and it was kind of foreshadowed earlier when Ashlyn asked Miss Jenn how she knew Ricky's dad was kind of the one, and Miss Jenn mentioned seeing fireworks, metaphorically of course in that case. So this episode ends with Ricky crying in his bed because he's pretty upset. He was the bigger man and he helped Gina with EJ and everything, but it's really upset him, and Jet ends up walking in. Tables have turned because he walks in all happy, and Jet tries to bring up Gina, but Ricky just doesn't want to talk about it.
I just can't believe I let color war slip through my fingers.
You mean Gina?
Okay, stop.
So then the attention turns to the camp prom, and Jet mentions that Maddox and Madison actually broke up at this dance a year ago, and he feels like it was his fault. So Ricky springs up because he has an idea. But what is this idea? Well, we're about to find out because we got to talk about episode 7. But also during episode 6, I feel like we got a couple more moments that kind of hint at something maybe brewing between Courtney and Jet. Let's go ahead and dive into episode 7 about the camp prom. So we have Ricky panicking because he's quickly approaching his 18th birthday, which is falling the next day on opening night, and he still hasn't finished his bucket list. He also starts to panic though because he was hoping he wouldn't have to tell Gina what he said on camera and that he'd have more time, but Carlos actually informs him that he got a tip that there will be a trailer dropping the next month featuring juicy footage, and Ricky realizes he may not have as much time as he wanted. Now, what makes this episode feel a bit ridiculous is we have everyone running around in wild 70s gear, which is a little distracting, but it's because the camp's prom tradition is to have a 70s theme in honor of something related to Susan Fine that no one can agree on. As for Ashlyn, she's made a big breakthrough in her life.
So I learned something new about myself last night. It is possible that I have a crush on Valerie. I suppose you could say my dating pool got a little bigger. So did my heart.
And people seem to be noticing she has a new glow about her, because how cute is this exchange between Carlos and Ashlyn?
I'm still me, just more.
I don't want this to be weird, but I brought you a little something to say. Welcome to the community.
Now, while Gina gets ready for the dance, she knows EJ can't be her date, but she thinks they'll still get to spend some time together and that he'll realize what he's missing. And she does say that EJ promised her the last dance, and she thinks this night will end with a bang. But knowing this show, it's not going to end with the bang that she wants, right? Things are going to go wrong. Now, before the dance, we have Jet trying to make amends with Maddox. He has called in some backup, which ends up being Madison, played by JoJo Siwa. Now, at first, this reunion does not go as Jet planned. He thought he was the reason for their breakup, but it seems like maybe he actually wasn't. Madison and Maddox actually broke up at the camp prom the year before, and part of that reason was because Madison refused to dance with Maddox. But also, the summer was intense the whole time because the incident of Jet outing Maddox to their parents happened right before camp started, so Maddox basically had her guard up and things just didn't go the way that she thought they would go that summer. Anyway, Maddox and Madison actually finally end up acknowledging both of their parts in the end of their relationship, and we have Maddox wishing she could let herself have more fun with everyone, but she's just been so guarded because of everything that's happened to her. As for EJ, he's just really no fun lately. I kind of don't like what they've done to this character, but I get why he's going through all this. But yeah, EJ is just so worried about opening night going wrong. It's a lot lot of pressure that he spends the entire camp prom with his script book running around, making people run their lines, like on the spot. Most of the people seem to pass, but Courtney's actually having trouble with her lines, which doesn't help with her building anxiety and wanting to perform Elsa to the best of her ability. But because EJ is so busy with these line readings, he completely misses the final dance that he promised to Gina.
Come on, Jeans, last dance of the night. Grab a partner. But I can't deny you for anything.
Back to Jet, he thinks he's still messed up pretty badly with Maddox, but this time we have Maddox walking into prom and explaining her faults in the whole situation and basically saying that she wants to be happy again, and she decides it's time to make amends, and she wants to sing her favorite song that she used to sing with her little brother, aka Jet, when they were young. Turns out to be an upbeat version of Wouldn't Change a Thing from Camp Rock 2, and joining them in the song are Carlos and Seb, as we've had Seb come down for the camp prom. And it's actually kind of fun. We get to see everybody do a little dance showcase, and I always love those when those happen in movies and TV shows. I don't know why. I feel like you get to see people's personalities when they show off what dance moves they can do. Now, if EJ did one thing right this episode, it's to tell Madison to dance with Maddox, otherwise she'll regret it. So we do have Madison putting her pride aside and finally giving Maddox that dance that she's always wanted, and it feels like that kind of gives closure to their relationship as they decide, hey, we'll still be in touch, we can be friends, but it seems like the love part of that they've now put closure on. But also, it's kind of like, hey, EJ, buddy, I think you need to take your own advice. Did you realize you just told her that if she would regret the dance and you completely missed the final dance with your girlfriend? Well, unfortunately, EJ doesn't take his own advice, and this basically leads to Gina and EJ breaking up, or rather, Gina breaking up with EJ. Now, Ricky then finds Gina, who's upset, and he wants to tell her about the camera footage, but doesn't, and they kind of almost have a moment until Dewey comes up.
It's okay.
Folks, this is a general reminder about PDA.
Now, there's almost an original song every episode. This episode, we get an original song from Courtney that was actually co-written by Dara Renee and is very personal to her. And we have Courtney basically singing this prayer that she sings to herself to calm her down with her anxiety. And we have the other girls from the camp joining in with her. And as they're singing, she basically realizes she's not alone. She gets empowered. And you know what she does? She goes and tackles that freaking climbing wall and overcomes that fear of heights. And I gotta say, well done, Courtney. And while she's singing this empowering song, we also see Carlos conquer a fear. Now, there's this camp tradition where after the prom, the boys all get buckets of water dumped on them while they're shirtless and they take a photo for the wall. Why? No idea. It sounds dumb, but camp has dumb traditions, and this is one of them that Carlos does not want to partake in because he is very not comfortable with taking his shirt off in front of other people. Well, he actually gets some advice from Ricky. Ricky's becoming Miss Jenn, right? Giving advice to people, and he ends up doing it and calling Ricky his hero, which is actually great for Ricky, who is so happy that he can cross off being a superhero on his bucket list. I think that's either the last thing or the second to last thing on his bucket list. But then things get emotional again for Ricky as he bumps into Gina once again and is about to tell her about what he said, but this time EJ walks up and Ricky realizes something is really going on. So Gina tells him about the breakup and that she doesn't want to talk about it right now. So Ricky respects that, but then when she's like, what did you want to say? He lies and just says that he wanted to say that Carlos looks great as Olaf or something like that. So I love that Ricky is not as selfish as he used to be. He could have just blurted it out, ruined everything, but he is being respectful of Gina's feelings right here. Alright, lastly, we have Ashlyn telling Maddox that, Maddox is now one of them, which is great to see. I hope that means that Maddox comes back for season 4. But the episode basically ends with what seems like Maddox maybe having an eye for Ashlyn now. She's moved on from Madison. Ashlyn is the apple of her eye maybe now, which I think we could have seen. The way that Maddox and Ashlyn actually went back and forth for a little while, I feel like we sort of knew this was coming. But then we have more drama beginning as we find out that Val got a tip that Channing is planning to go full on reality mode on opening night to cause chaos, which is not going to ease anybody's anxiety. They are already running around like chickens with their heads cut off. You put in Channing drama and it's gonna lead to a pretty interesting opening night. But yeah, that's basically the events of these 2 episodes. It's all leading up to this finale in which we have the opening night of Frozen. We have all these relationships hanging in the balance, some forming, some ending, some maybe getting back together. We do not know. But from this preview for the finale, we will see Nini again, and as well as Miss Jenn. We have Courtney, who's still dealing with her anxiety, and Channing basically announces that the performance is going to be live streamed, which I think is a lot of pressure as well. But yeah, I think this is going to be a great episode to set up, hopefully, season 4, which if you want to know the plot of that, you can check out a video on my channel. It's linked down below. But overall, I did enjoy these 2 episodes. I think it was kind of obvious the entire season that EJ and Gina were heading for a breakup. Now, whether this is a permanent breakup or it's just like a quick break and EJ realizes that he screwed up royally and they can figure things out, we don't know. But it's a matter of time, because what's Ricky gonna do? Does he truly have feelings for Gina, or is it more of a friendship, but the romantic feelings are there just because it's, you missed out on something that you think could, I don't even know what I'm saying, guys. But I have loved the development of Ashlyn and Maddox as characters, and also I love Courtney's storyline because I think tackling anxiety and mental health and stuff, it's very relatable for a lot of people, and I'm glad it's being covered. And Courtney's song, super great this episode. I think that's my favorite of the 2 episodes, all the songs they featured. These 2 episodes maybe weren't my favorite when it comes to the original and the cover songs, but Courtney's song, fantastic. But I think I've already rambled too long. Probably didn't even say anything interesting about these 2 episodes, but yeah, that's all I got. So I gotta know now what you thought about these 2 episodes. What are your predictions for the finale? Which characters do you want together, and which do you think should just be friends? Let me know down below, and after that, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and then click right over here to get all the season 4 plot details, as well as some of my D23 Expo interviews. As always, my name is Lisa. Thanks for listening to me ramble and probably not making any sense while I talk about the show, but it's still fun anyways. I'll see you next time as we talk about the season finale.